Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Virtual Visioncon 2020. I am your host, Zack Wilson, and you didn't come here to see me, however. You came here to see who I'm joined with today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to start with something. You could lock me in a room for an entire year, food, drinks, whatever, and provide with me all of the best tools and materials money can buy to create and repair cosplays, and I could not make something half as good as what my guest can make today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined today by Kenneth Kall, acclaimed cosplayer and the CEO and entrepreneur behind KnD Cosplay. Kenneth, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, Zach. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Now, Ken, before we start into this, can you give me just like the superhero origin story of Kenneth Kall and how you got into cosplay and everything?
So I got into cosplay. I've always loved costumes. I always loved dressing up. I did theater work years ago. I was an assistant set designer at Richland Community College many years ago. And it's something I've always loved doing. Just never really got into the cosplay itself. I've actually only been doing cosplay about 2016 really is when I really got into it. It's only for a couple of years. It started back in 2015. I bought a Bumblebee costume, Halloween costume. I got it and I'm like, oh, this is, no. It was pretty sad, especially what I paid for it. And at the time I was working on my doctorate program, so I didn't have a lot of time. And I started just kind of repainting little touches up here and there. 2016, I got really sick, had a lot of health issues, and a lot of ended up walking away from my doctorate. And that's when I really started getting into the cosplay stuff. It really started for me more as therapy. It was my outlet as kind of everything else in my world around me was starting to fall apart. It was the one thing that I kind of held on to. And my friend Jessica, I think she summed it up pretty well one time when she said, when I was done with the Bumblebee helmet, this one here, it's the first one that I did, and she said, I think you even really surprised yourself at how well it actually turned out. This one here, of course, Tampa Bumblebee, that's me. I stick with the Tampa because that's where it started. But there's maybe about 10% of the original mask left of this one. It was a Halloween mask. And it started with the eyes. The eyes just bugged the heck out of me from the original costume. If you ever look it up, you can Google it. You'll see the original costumes out there. You can look at my Facebook page, Tampa Bumblebee. It's out there as well. And the eyes were just terrible. So the eyes I built completely from scratch. Don't ask me how. I just sat down and did it one day and figured it out. Used old speaker wires and the Christmas bulbs. I'll turn that on real quick. The eyes are kind of bright, so I don't keep them on. There you go. But yeah, and then it just started from there. I had to fabricate the side vents. I rebuilt all of this, did all the paint, everything myself, and it's just a lot of trial and error. And really, it was just kind of all downhill from there. And
I gotta tell you, like in the mask itself, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty, easy to see. He puts a lot of effort into it, but I don't think you really realize how much effort and work Ken puts into these things. A quick story. I go to MSU as a marketing student. That's not important for the story, just preface. And I was doing a project for school about doing a marketing campaign that had something to do with, like heroes. So I was trying to get some people together, got some people together, and Ken wanted to come in. And I heard that he did a Bumblebee cosplay, and I expected like a passable Halloween costume. And I was like, whatever, I need people. So I said, yeah. So we all meet in downtown library to get dressed because they were nice enough to provide a change.
I remember that day. Yeah.
And he comes in, 2 or 3 giant bins. And I'm like, what is this? And so he gets it out, and I help him put it together. And ladies and gentlemen, it's like armor. It is massive, but at the same time, so intricately detailed, like to the nth degree that you wouldn't even notice it unless you were specifically looking for it. And it's mind-boggling. And that's just kind of, from what I've experienced, that's just kind of all of the dedication you put in all of your work. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The one to my right, your left, you actually made that one. That's like an original character, correct?
This one? This one or this one?
The one directly, or to the right, I believe.
On the mannequin? Or
Yes.
this guy here? The
No,
one on the mannequin.
Mannequin.
Oh,
My
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah. This one, the big one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, it's actually based on the video game Destiny. It is a Hunter class Guardian Night Stalker, and it's actually kind of my take on it, my design of it. And when I was doing it, it's really been piecemeal through over the years. It's been putting it together. When I was designing it, though, I wanted to kind of come up with a realistic Guardian. So, and thinking realistically, what would they actually, if this character was real, what would they actually be wearing? And the Hunter class, they're like snipers, basically. They use bow and arrows and things like that. And the sniper rifles, which it's actually the gun that goes with it. And this is also another salvage piece. And so I just started thinking kind of from there, like realistically, well, they would have to be, you know, lightweight and such. And they're very colorful if you ever see the video game Destiny. But yeah, so I made all of this. And I had to teach myself how to sew. So I made the cape, the cowl, everything, pretty much all that you're seeing. And the underpiece here, this actually used to be it started as a Kylo Ren costume from Target. And I've added the liner and I did all of this.
Which I'm going to actually stop you right there, Ken, because I wanted to preface something. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure by now you're thinking, well, yeah, his cosplays are great, but I'm sure it's because he uses some of the best materials, you know, stuff like that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that Kenneth Kall is not only one of the greatest, in my opinion, cosplayers and builders around, he's also simultaneously saving the planet, because a lot of your materials that you use, Ken, is recycled materials, correct?
Yes. Yep. So what I do is, it started out years ago when I first started building Bumblebee, and materials are expensive. Foam is expensive, and I never liked how it turned out in the end. A lot of my background, I used to work on cars. I used to love restoring cars. I've had more vehicles than I can count anymore. And so some of my first iterations of stuff that I looked at was using some materials from that. And I'm very big on, I think as one of the more intelligent creatures in the world, I think it's part of our duty and responsibility to take care of the environment. And part of that is reusing stuff that we can reuse instead of letting it up in a landfill. So I first started out, one thing I tell a lot of people is that you should always respect your work. And one thing that I do is I always try to say, even my failures, and I show them off. This is one of the first chest pieces that I made for Bumblebee. It was the hood. I used the kid's Power Wheel Camaro. And I had the bright idea. I used Bondo to cover it. This thing weighs about 5 pounds. It never made it. But I didn't give up. And so one thing I remember from science class was something called styrofoam slime. Well, styrofoam is basically just plastic. So I've actually developed and refined a process where I take styrofoam, like packing styrofoam, and I break it down with chemicals. I don't recommend that just anybody do this. It's very dangerous, because I use a lot of caustic chemicals. I have a respirator, chemical gloves, the whole 9 yards when I do this. My process that I start with, for example, this is the template, which will be the new pelvis for Bumblebee. It's gonna have a new license plate and everything. So this is what I start off. I use cardboard to kind of mock up, like, okay, where are my thoughts going? Then once I get that down, I will do something like this. Don't ask what this is supposed to be. I still have no idea. I did it about a year and a half ago. It's falling apart. But I'll just take like coat hangers, baling wire, make a frame, use a lot of scrap foam to build a kind of a base. Then I take the styrofoam and I break it down. And this is what styrofoam looks like when you break it down.
Oh my God.
This is about 1.5 square feet of styrofoam. When the chemicals, they break down, it dissolves the adhesive and removes all of the air in there. And it breaks it down and it turns into very hard, lightweight plastic. This is the piece that I'm working on, that I started. It will eventually, and this is what makes this process difficult and stuff to work with, because you have to be very precise. This will eventually be Ginji, a Ginji helmet.
From Overwatch.
This is what it looks like after it's all poured. Now this Ginji helmet, this is about 10 square feet of styrofoam just to cover this piece. From there, I spend about half of my time working sanding. So if you want to ever try this process, you better love sanding. As you can see, I start sanding it smooth to get all the edges and stuff in there. Now, what I do from there, this is a Red Hood helmet that I'm working on. And what I do is I use a lightweight drywall compound repair. And I do that to start smoothing in all the holes, the creases, and I use it to start getting the finer details of stuff that I want in there. It's one thing I love about working with this material is that there's no limit to what I can do. No limit to the amount of detail I can put in, the things that I can create from it. And also it's really good at repairing broken later. After that, this has about 10 layers between the lightweight drywall do sanding, drywall repair, prime it, sand it, drywall repair, prime it over. There's about 10 layers of that to get it to this point. The end result, though,
Ken? Oop. Ken, I think we lost you.
Sorry. I think it froze. Oh, there we are. Okay, I froze up for a second.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. I think we lost you at the end result, and then you froze.
Oh. So the end result is this is the helmet that for my Destiny Guardian, and this is made out of that as well. This one, as you can see, the end result is a nice, beautiful, smooth finish. It's also very durable. This one's a little bit heftier because it's got quite a bit. But you can see the inside there. That's kind of what it looks like on the inside. It's a mess. So once it's all done, this one has about 15 layers of paint and probably about 10 layers of clear coat. Get very OCD with the paint. But this one is made from 100% recycled, reclaimed materials. The fascia piece, the front part of it, some people may recognize if you're a big Star Wars fan, it's actually the Kylo Ren Mask. And I found it on clearance at Target. The mask was cracked, and I think I paid $2 for the whole costume. Like, sweet. This is actually the back end of a hairdryer. And it's actually, if you can see, it's got the purple light inside there. These are counterweights, which they're actually from a bicycle seat. My favorite part is the little fins on the side here. These are actually tweeter covers from a Mercedes. And of course, I use the sunglasses for the visor itself. But yeah, this helmet here, I have probably, I would say, between 300 to 400 hours worth of work into. That also includes an extra 50 hours worth of repair. Last year at the Visioncon, my own stupidity, I didn't keep it in its case where it's supposed to be when I'm not wearing it or on the mannequin, and it got knocked over when I was chasing the mouse, and it actually cracked up here and all the way down the side. But I took it as an opportunity because one thing with KnD Cosplay, I specialize in helmets, obviously, but my main specialty is actually in repair, restoration services for cosplayers. And as you can see, you go to KnD Cosplay Creations, you can see the before and after, the amount of damage. It had cracked completely. And yeah, so that's that one.
So as you mentioned, you do commissions, you do repair work. Now let's say, hypothetically, not saying from personal experience at all, you have a girlfriend whom you love very much and worked very hard on a cosplay, and it's after a convention and we're about to go to Arby's afterwards and they want to get out of it and you're trying to get it off and they're like, just rip it off. You're not going to break it. And well, you break it. So again, just hypothetical, not talking from experience or anything. How can people contact you to either commission a piece or to hopefully repair and take advantage of your repair and restoration services?
Absolutely. They can contact me through Facebook, KnD Cosplay Creations at Facebook. They can also, I have my other Facebook page, Tampa Bumblebee on Facebook. That's right now is the best way to contact me.
Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll include any links in the description so you guys have easy access to them. And Ken, I believe that's everything. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Virtual Visioncon 2020's exclusive interview with Kenneth Kall, founder and CEO of KnD Cosplay. Ken, you got any final notes?
Yeah, dream big, start small. That's what I say, and don't give up.
Well spoken, Ken. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys stay safe out there and stay tuned. We've got a lot more content coming out throughout the week, or the weekend rather. And like I said, guys, enjoy.